Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame Fantasy Endgame baseball players. Wrapping up another week of baseball, fantasy baseball. Do have a couple games still finishing, and we have one game to go tonight still, but it's time to look ahead because, pretty much at this point, your lineup is set. Your pitchers are probably pitched. There's not much you can do except get an edge on your opponent next week and look ahead, and that's what we're going to help you do, of course, with those two start streamers. I love streaming pitching this week. Or this year. It's been phenomenal for me. I think it's been one of the biggest difference makers for my team, going from last to in the playoffs, looking good, looking strong. And let's start with a pitcher that I picked up off waivers a few weeks ago, dropped him, picked him back up, and now I don't think I can drop him anymore. And that is Jake Irvin, coming off an absolute gem of an outing. What do you go? 8 innings, shutout baseball. I think he gave up 1 hit, struck out 8. And this week, he's going to make 2 starts. He gets the Mets, who were grimacing people, but I feel like they've cooled way off. But then he does get Milwaukee, and they can have some hot bats. So I know you talked about Jake Irvin on the waiver wire and said he's pretty much a must-add. So if he's a must-add, he's got to be your top 2-star streamer of the week, right?
He is, because he's pretty much a guy you should be adding, not just streaming. But I get it. Like, there's some leagues where maybe there's more options out there. It's a shallower league, or you just don't need a guy like that on your roster full time. So that's fine. But Jake Irvin's been great. I mean, there's not much else to say other than what I already said on that video. He's been just flat out dominant in most of his recent starts. And it doesn't get as much attention because on the Nationals, no offense, Tris, but he's not on a playoff team, and he's not on he's not a high-end prospect or anything like this. Just this guy's flying under the radar, but he's consistently good. And of course, the strikeout rate is not amazing. I'm just gonna get that out there for everybody. We're gonna talk about right there on the streamers list. They're not widely owned already. It's because they don't rack up a lot of strikeouts, most likely. But they could this week. And like you said, with the Mets coming up, what goes up always comes down. It's called regression in baseball. And the Mets were so hot that now they have definitely fallen back down to earth. So not scared too much of that game. It'll be fine. Milwaukee, again, not ideal. It's not a perfect schedule, but I'm just putting Irvin first because he's pretty much not a streamer anymore. He's a guy that really should be rostered.
Yeah, and then let's talk about looks like his teammate, Mitchell Parker, who I also have streamed periodically throughout the year. He's been mostly good this year. He's got 84 innings, 3.61 ERA, 1.10 WHIP. Those are all, very, very solid for your ratios. Now the downside here is only 68 strikeouts, so you're not looking at a guy who's going to give you huge strikeouts amounts, and of course, being on the Nationals, not going to get a lot of wins, but also only 5 quality starts. So, but he gets a little bit better. Is this right? He gets St. Louis in Milwaukee. So I'm guessing the Nationals start with the Mets and then get St. Louis in the middle of the week and then finish with Milwaukee, if I'm reading this right. So St. Louis, despite what happened to Mackenzie Gore yesterday, St. Louis, a fantastic offense to stream against. So his schedule's, I would say, better. But not quite as good as Irvin. So is this another one you're chasing the matchups here? Tell me why you like Parker.
Yeah, not as exciting as Irvin, but he's a guy who he will give up some hard contact. Obviously, the home runs, and coming off a game where he just gave up 3 home runs in a game, not ideal, but he didn't give up a ton of runs because usually they're solo shots. That's one thing I would say is a little issue. He's given up 5 home runs in the last 3 games, but his whip remains low because he would rather give up that barrel than to put a guy on base. He just doesn't walk people, and his whip has remained low season long, so that's nice. Believe it or not, harder to find guys who can control that and keep a low whip as opposed to low ERA. ERA, is the outcome. It's a little bit more subjective to the conditions, the defense, the weather, things like that. But you can control whether you're walking a bat or not. He doesn't do that. So that's nice. He's a guy who can put together quality starts. So I do like the schedule this week. Mitchell Parker is I think this week is solid. He's not a guy I'm going to throw out there every single outing. I'll just say that he's not like Jake Irvin, who's a must own, but I feel like the Nats are kind of on the upswing lately. They got a little bit of juice. James Wood debuting, playing well lately. So I think this is a good week to roll Parker out twice.
All right, let's move on from the Nationals pitchers. Let's go to a Guardians pitcher. Ben Lively gets this is where we start to get to the pitchers. This is what I like. I'm like, don't talk to me about how good or bad the pitcher is. Talk to me how about bad the offense is. It's like streaming DST in fantasy football. He gets the Detroit Tigers, who are horrendous, and the Tampa Bay Rays, who are okay, but I always feel pretty good streaming against the Tampa Bay Rays. They never really scare me. Lively on the season, 77 innings, 67 strikeouts, so decent strikeouts there. Not going to give you elite strikeout upside, but very good ratios, 3.14 ERA, 1.16. So you got him as your number 3 streamer. Why?
Well, this is another one of those pitchers, kind of like similar to Parker. He can get you those innings, some quality starts, not going to blow away opposing hitters, but this is about the schedule. I mean, at Detroit, at Tampa, not only offenses that haven't really clicked this year, but you don't necessarily want to always get a 2-start pitcher who's got 2 road starts, but these are 2 obvious pitcher parks. These are great venues for a pitcher, and he gets Detroit and Tampa at times where they're not exactly doing a whole lot on offense. So I love the schedule. Lively's been better lately. Definitely can get you some wins because Guardians are definitely winning, and he's got 8 on the season. So this is a great week for Lively. I think I might honestly prefer him to Parker now that I think about it, but it's pretty close either way.
All right, pretty close there. And now let's go to a pitcher who just came back from injury, made his first start this week against the Nationals. Wow, we're talking about the Nationals a lot tonight. That's Christian Scott of the Mets. I mean, this is an even better schedule. Against the Pirates, one of the best teams you can stream against, and the Rockies, not in Colorado, one of the best teams you can stream against. So in his last start here against the Nationals, went 5 2/3, only struck out 2, did get hit. I don't want to say he got hit hard, but got hit a little bit. But again, first start back. But I mean, you got to be feeling this schedule just jumps off the page to me.
Yeah, Scott, a guy also talked about on a waiver wire video. This is a little bit more, putting some risk out there and betting on the potential, right? Because he hasn't quite put it together yet. Top pitching prospect for the Mets, was okay, kind of uneven as far as his first few starts before he got sent down. But the talent is there. He's going to take maybe a little time to really round into shape, but this might be the week where it happens because of that schedule. So I really think there's a lot more strikeout upside here than he's shown so far. So maybe this is the week where it does come together. But either way, I don't feel like it's too risky with him getting lit up by the Pirates or the Rockies.
Definitely not. And is this the week we see some strikeouts from Andrew Abbott? I would argue maybe an even better schedule. I mean, again, against the Rockies, not in Colorado, although, he does pitch for Cincinnati, which is a good hitter's park, but that Colorado lineup doesn't scare me. But then he gets your Marlins, which we know one of the best, maybe the best team to stream against, unfortunately. So Andrew Abbott on the season, another guy, good ratios, 3.28 ERA, 1.20 whip, 6 quality starts, but only 74 strikeouts in 96 innings. He did about 2 weeks ago, I guess, against Boston, he did randomly strike out 10, but that was an outlier for him. But he is coming off a nice game in Yankee Stadium where he went 6 1/3. Only gave up, it looks like 1 or 2 runs. I can't tell there. And only struck out 2, though. So Abbott, what's schedule floor play here? Is that what we're looking at? Floor play?
Yeah. Abbott is a guy, and we're going to talk about a couple of Reds pitchers with that same schedule. So first of all, yes, Rockies, Marlins, nothing to worry about there. But also, Abbott's kind of been sneaky good this year. Again, this is like your such prototypical pitching streamer here. It's the strikeouts, right? It just doesn't get you a lot of strikeouts, but he can get you some good starts. Now, here's one pitcher who definitely jumps off the page when you look at his stats. much better in a roto league with wins than quality starts. He does not go 6+ innings that often, but he's got 8 wins. And Cincinnati, notice they're not that great this year. Like, they don't have a great record, but he's got 8 wins on that team. And in fact, I think he's won his last 3 starts in a row. So he may not get you a quality start. And in that kind of format, like our league we're in, he'll probably just sit on the waiver wire. But if you're looking for wins, he actually has more upside than you would think. So I really like Abbott. He does get into trouble sometimes to command. He'll have his off days. He'll walk batters. So sometimes he's off, but he's actually really good at not giving up hard contact. He's, in fact, got a really low hard hit rate. So very different kind of lefty than Mitchell Parker, but somehow equally effective.
All right, well, let's talk about his teammate now. That's Frankie Montas. Has that same schedule, Colorado in Cincinnati, and then the Marlins. He's a guy I've streamed over the season. These are the kind of guys I actually like to stream. Even though you say, like, okay, Frankie Montas definitely does not have huge strikeout upside this season, 77 innings, 62 strikeouts. His ratios are okay, 4.19 ERA, 1.32 whip, 6 quality starts. But I don't mind streaming these guys when they have these kind of matchups because I feel comfortable, like, okay, they're not going to blow up my ratios. Maybe they can get that quality start and they'll give me a decent amount of strikeouts. So I'm guessing he's down this low because of those reasons: quality starts, strikeouts.
Right. Although better chance, I'd say, for him to get you a quality start than Abbott. But he's really frustrating because he'll look, just when he starts to look like he's steadying the ship and being consistent, and then he'll have one of those starts like he had a couple of weeks ago where he kills your ratios. But since that last one, he's got 4 straight starts. He has not given up more than 3 runs. He's actually been really good the last couple of weeks. Again, not huge strikeout upside, but he's getting better. So, if he's staying healthy, if, it's not a terrible matchup. And in fact, he just faced the Yankees, and I was definitely scared to think about streaming him like in that start, but he wasn't bad there. He didn't only give up 2 runs. So with a good schedule like this is a good time to take a chance on Montas. Again, we talk about him here and there. He's not a guy I want to have out there every week, but this is a good week to try him out. Although I do slightly prefer Abbott.
All right, then one more. This is a guy I was pretty much rolling with like for a while, and then he blew up and I dropped him, and I haven't regretted it yet. That's Brayan Bello of the Boston Red Sox. He gets another great Oakland or Miami. Like, what's the best team to stream against? I mean, just flip a coin, either one. They're both fantastic to stream against. And then KC, also not a scary matchup. But you look at Bello, he was pitching really well after his start on May 12th against the Nationals. He had a 3.13 ERA. After his start on June 25th against the Blue Jays, his ERA was all the way up to 5.55. He went up 2.5 points in ERA in basically a month of pitching. He was awful. Now, he did face some tough bats in there with Yankees, Blue Jays twice, but he also got lit up by the White Sox, got lit up by the Tigers. But he did bounce back in this last start against your Marlins, 6 2/3, only gave up 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts. He's averaging just under a strikeout per inning. So, are we risking it with Brayan Bello this week because of the matchups?
Only if you need to. This is why he's last on the list. Bello's a guy I really had higher hopes for. And early in the season, I mean, he was hurt early in the season, but when he started out, it was looking really sharp. But he just can't seem to, keep it together consistently. So I do like the schedule. That's why I'll put him out there. Oakland, KC, although you never know. These are offenses like just today, KC put up a ton of runs. Just the other day, Oakland put up 18 runs. I mean, we can't just assume, the schedule looks great, he's going to dominate. So I think this is a chance where if you get spurned by these other starters you can't find anywhere else in a deeper league, I'll go with Bello because he does have a chance to put together a quality start.
All right, there you go. Those are the top 2 start streamers. But before we get to your questions, we have a couple young players we want to talk about, starting with Yankee catcher. You talked about him. I think on Beat the Breakout, maybe a couple Beat the Breakouts ago, Ben Rice, yesterday, 3 for 5. 3 of those hits were home runs. And if you're not a mathematician, that's 100% of them were home runs. 7 RBIs. Yeah, pretty much, carried you just right there. 3 runs, of course. And he had a home run just on July 4th. On 4th of July, he hit a home run as well. He is on fire right now. And Antoine says, player spotlight. Ben Rice, we're spotlighting him. Is he a must roster right now?
I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, honestly, why I'm shocked that he hasn't been picked up in more leagues. And I talked about him right before he got the call. It was like a day or two before he actually did get the call. It seemed logical. And then once Rizzo was announced to be out, then yeah, it happened. And then last week, talked about him on waiver wire. And honestly, I'm shocked. He's a Yankee, right? He's a Yankee, the first baseman for the Yankees. Isn't this just a thing, right? Like, why is people not picking him up? I guess because he wasn't a bigger name as far as their prospects goes. Like when Jason Dominguez gets called up, he'll be 100% rostered probably. Look, Ben Rice is playing right now. Ben Rice is a good hitter. And again, I'm looking not just at the fact that he's out there, but look at what he's done so far. He had not hit his first home run until a few days ago, right? He finally got one, and then now they're coming in bunches, right? Got the 3 home run day. But he was effective because he was walking. He was not striking out. He was getting, making contact. He was showing he was able to handle major league pitching. And the power's there, so we knew it was a matter of time. So I'm still surprised. In fact, I checked in one of our leagues. He was still out there. It's like, my only regret is I didn't pick him up in every league that he was available sooner. I grabbed him in a couple, and then ours, like, why is he still out there? So yeah, must roster. Like, why wouldn't you? You can put him at catcher. What? How many people here have catchers that you're like, yeah, I don't need help there. You can put him at first base. I mean, pretty much a must roster. Yes.
All right. And then what about a guy you talked about? I think you talked about him on the Beat the Breakout, and then he made his debut that day, I believe, later that day, or maybe it was the day, maybe it was the next day, they called him up. And then you put him on the cover of the waiver wire, said, add this guy. And that is Brooks Lee. And all he has done since being activated on July 3rd, which was 5 days ago, is gotten a hit in every game. He's got a home run. He's driven in 6 runs. He's scored 3 runs. He's batting .474. Is this another guy that has to be added everywhere?
Well, this is a guy who's been really on the radar sooner than Rice. He's a better prospect than Ben Rice. He's on a better team. And the only reason I won't go as far as to say that he isn't a must roster is because he hits, he's on the Twins, which is fine, but it's not the Yankees. He's also, shortstop. Less likely you need help at shortstop than at catcher / first base. And also he hits right now, he's hitting toward the bottom of the lineup. But, man, pretty soon he's going to force his way to the top. So he's a better prospect than Ben Rice. They're just not quite as good a situation. But if I have room for him, then, yeah, I think I'm going to try to make room for him. And realistically, how soon are we holding our breath that Royce Lewis is going to come back before he gets hurt again? So there's a good chance he sticks there rest of the season, especially with the way he's hitting. I don't even think there's any excuse to send him down. So I won't go as far to say must add everywhere, but yeah, if you can make room for him, you should do it.
All right, there you go. There's 2 start streamers, a couple of young guys you should add. And now it's time to get to your questions, of course. But first, got to remind you, there's still a game tonight. Red Sox, Yankees. This used to be like must-watch TV. Now it's like, oh, the Yankees are just going to roll the Red Sox, probably. But you never know. It's Luis Gil tonight, and he's been awful. So maybe the Red Sox can pull it out tonight. We'll see. But if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy, not sure why. I'm sure you hear us talk about it every week. Go try it out. You think Luis Gil bounces back this week? Go ahead. Take the hires. You think he's going to keep getting shellacked? Take the lowers, whatever. You know what I mean. Make some picks on Underdog Fantasy. And when you do, make sure you join using promo code ENDGAME because you'll get a free pick that right there gives you a win. You win, boom, you win. You make that pick, you make one other pick, boom, easy win right there. And you're going to get up to $250 in bonus cash that you can use right away. You don't have to, like, I know I've joined like sports books in the past, and they say, hey, deposit 500, we give you 500, but first you have to use your 500 before they give you the 500. Nope, not with Underdog. The money is in your account, can be used right away. Don't have to worry about it. Check out Underdog. And of course, if you play fantasy football, which I'm sure a lot of you do, they have fantasy drafts going on right now. A ton of fun. We do one. In fact, we're going to do one after this. So if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, this is the time. Go check it out. Just make sure you use that promo code ENDGAME when you join. And if you haven't dropped a super chat yet, what are you waiting for? Like Antoine here. You want to jump to the front of the line like Antoine? You want to be impatient? Or you just want to say thanks? You can drop a super chat. You don't have to. We're going to get to as many questions as we can. But like I said, we do have a fantasy football draft to do after this. So depending on how busy we are, how impatient you are, you can drop the super chat. But let's start with Antoine. What's up? Good to see you. Always dropping the super chats and always on the stream. Appreciate it. Okay, wants to know about a couple injured players. Kel Marte and Jordan Alvarez. How long do you think they're going to be out? Any news?
Well, the good news is I don't think it's going to be very long. With Kel Marte, it sounds like it's day to day. He might be available to pinch hit, so I don't see an IL stint. It's just like some back tightness from what I've seen. So nothing to worry about here. I know you always kind of worry with the All-Star break coming up right beforehand. A lot of times managers will be like, let's just give him a little extra break, right? Take a couple days off. But in this case, we're still far enough away and it doesn't seem like it's serious. So don't worry about him. With Jordan, I don't think he's really missing time. He's one of those players, and someone made a comment the other day. It's like every other day, every other game, this guy looks like he's got a career-ending injury. He's like writhing on the floor, and then he's out there the next day, like take 4 at-bats, and he gets 3 hits. I wouldn't worry about it. I haven't heard that Jordan's going to be out either, so don't think you're going to have to worry about stashing either of these guys on the injured list. And the Astros not only are starting to win, but also reading they're going to be some movers on or before the trade deadline. They're going to be buying. So yeah, they're pushing ahead. They're not going to just sit him, I don't think, for any length of time just because they can, because they don't want to.
All right, you ready for this one? I feel like this needs like 2 super chats. All right, top 5 best relief pitchers who have save potential for the upcoming week. This would be like somebody asking me like the top 5 tight ends to stream this week or something.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, look. Okay. Let's get the blanket statement
hard pass.
No, we got to answer. Let's. Okay. I'll give you 5 pitchers, but I would just say, you can't predict saves too much. I mean, you want teams that can win close games. All right, but let's look at the guys who have been getting saves. Obviously, Emmanuel Class of the Guardians. That would be number 1. Now, I don't think you're asking, from what I can tell, you're not asking about like streamers or like somebody to pick up, right? You're just asking the top 5 relievers. So I'll go with the top 5. I would go with Class of the Guardians, however you say him. Let's stick with the Nationals. If I like their starters, should like their closer. Kyle Finnegan's put up a ton of saves this year, so Finnegan should have a bunch. I will say this too. I mentioned this last week. You're going to want to start thinking about moving some closers that you have who are getting saves right now that might not be getting saves after the trade deadline. So think about those guys. But this week and maybe next week, those teams are going to want to showcase those relievers. So like a Kirby Yates, I'll put him number 3 for the Rangers. He's a guy who could get traded, but he's a guy who could get you some saves this week. It's not a great schedule. They face Houston a couple times on the road, but they also face the Angels, so that's not too bad. And Yates has been getting more saves lately. And then after that, let's go Trevor McGill, because Milwaukee's been playing well and they have a pretty good schedule. And then let's go with a guy who's actually consistently getting saves. There's not that many of them, really. Let's go Josh Hader.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Antoine, as always. All right, Tristram in the house saying Jake Irvin needs to go to the All-Star game. Agree or disagree?
Borderline. I would say he needs to go. He's been good. Kind of a fringe player. I know they just released. They're talking about all the players. I haven't caught up on all the players. I know the starters, but I haven't caught up the reserves and who's in or who's out. So, yeah, he's made a case. Let's put it that way.
All right, there you go. All right, Doopy guy, what's up? Welcome. As a trade question, Corbin Carroll and probably Trevor McGill, the closer, I assume. I'm not sure.
Probably
not Tyler. For Skeens and Lane Thomas, which side do you want?
Give me the Skeens side. There's no reason not to buy into him at this point. And then Lane Thomas is a guy who got a really slow start, and he's been on fire. He's been one of the best outfielders all of fantasy over the past month. I'll take Lane Thomas, honestly, over Corbin Carroll the rest of the season at this point. Definitely the Skeens side.
All right, this seems a little harsh. Mackenzie Gore is a bust. Now, I have Mackenzie Gore, and look, it was very disappointing that he got rocked by the St. Louis Cardinals in that terrible lineup. But Mackenzie Gore on the season has 112 strikeouts, a 3.83 ERA, a 1.44 WHIP, 5 quality starts, probably not a lot of wins because he's on the Nats, I'm not sure. And you picked him up off the waiver wire. In what world is Mackenzie Gore a bust? But I will ask you this, because he's certainly not a bust. And I'm not picking on you, Matthew, but I mean, he's not a bust. Like, come on. He was a waiver wire ad. A waiver wire ad can't even be a bust by definition. Like, he's got to at least be drafted. But I will ask you this, as someone who likes to stream pitching, is Mackenzie Gore still a must hold? Or is he a guy you think you can drop and stream type of guy?
No, he's definitely not a must hold. And especially lately, I mean, he's been busting lately because his last start obviously was bad. And then a couple of times before that was pretty bad. He's not going that deep into games. So like for our league where we use quality starts, definitely less helpful. I will say this though, the one thing he gives you that most of these streamers don't get you is strikeouts. He does get a lot of strikeouts. It's definitely not a bust, but he's definitely looking a lot bustier lately. But even so, I mean, like you said, there was almost no expectation for him preseason. So he'll be okay. I think he'll settle down again. He'll start to look better.
I think he's just the kind of pitcher that you have to accept. Like he's got that. Yep. And sometimes you're going to get the peak and sometimes you're going to get the valley. I mean, don't forget, like earlier this week, he didn't get the quality start, but that was ridiculous. He went 5 2/3. He had only pitched, I think, like 94 innings, and they took him out. And then what happened? They lost the lead instead of letting him get that last out. But he was great in that game. Eight strikeouts. I think only 2 earned runs in that game, or 1 earned run. He had a game, 10 strikeouts against the Marlins, 7. I mean, he peaks and valleys. You're going to get peaks and valleys with him. But I'm starting to think like, okay, I can probably drop him and stream for somebody else because I don't think people are running out to add him.
Right.
Okay. We didn't talk about him, but let's talk about another, I guess, 2-start. Is he a 2-starter? Does Milos Mikolas, does he have 2 starts this week?
Yeah, he's one I was on the fence. I almost put him on the list. He's close. He might be a good streamer this week. He's definitely been less effective lately. He's a guy who's been a roller coaster ride this year. Beginning of the year was awful. And then you remember early June, he was like the best pitcher in baseball somehow. But now he's kind of back down. So I think he's fine. I think you can. Like I said, I was on the fence, almost put him on. And I think you can stream him. He gets 2 starts. The schedule is not too bad for them either. But again, with him, you know what your limit is. You're not getting strikeouts. Definitely from Milos Mikolas, you're not getting a bunch of strikeouts. So I feel okay with him. I put him right there kind of with Brian Bello. I just like Bello's schedule slightly better.
Yeah, I will say the cut, like first start, Washington. Sorry, Tristan, but that's a great start, of course. Then the Cubs, that can be hit or miss. So that scares me a little bit for a pitcher like Mikolas. That's how you pronounce his name. Let's see. Okay, well, we talked about both these guys. So Matthew has a question. If you have both are available and you could only pick up one, I assume position is not like you're not like, hey, I'm good at shortstop. I think Brooks Lee plays short, but I need a catcher. Then obviously it's Ben Rice. But let's say, hey, I'm good. They're going to be a utility player for me. They're not going to be a starting, like they're not going to play a position for me. Between the two, Ben Rice, Brooks Lee, who you grabbing?
Yeah, just assuming you were looking for upside, pure upside, position doesn't matter. Although I will say that position still does kind of matter, because even if you say, well, I don't need a catcher right now, and then your catcher goes in the IL, you want to go fishing for a catcher on the waiver wire, or what's easier to find, or a shortstop? So to some extent, I still do think that it matters. I'll rather have a guy at a scarcer position, but let's just pretend it really doesn't matter. It's close. I mean, I like them both, but I'm gonna go Rice for the reasons I mentioned. Hitting higher in the order. In fact, he was hitting leadoff. I don't know if he'll hit leadoff tonight. Let's check the lineup, because the Yankees and Red Sox. Yep, hitting leadoff for the New York Yankees. Yeah, it's hard to beat that, right? Hitting leadoff, the runs are going to happen. He's got power equivalent to Lee. So the fact that he's hitting leadoff and he's on a better offense, I think that gives the edge to Rice.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. And then Tristram just wants to sound the horn for James Wood, who also had a very nice first week in the majors, hit 320, 1 home run, 1 stolen base, but had 6 RBIs, 4 runs scored, 6 walks if you're in a points league. So, yep, good start for James Wood. Excuse me. Wood. No doubt about it. All right, Uwe 2K. He needs some help rejuvenating his bullpen, but these guys are starters, so I assume by bullpen he just means like the back half of his staff, not his bullpen. Because I don't know, when I think of bullpen, I think of like relief pitchers, but I don't know. Maybe in fantasy baseball the bullpen is, I don't know. Anyways, well, rank these pitchers in head-to-head points league. Jameson Taillon, Andrew Heaney, Colin Ray, Drew Thorpe, Jose Quintana, and Andrew Abbott.
All right.
In a points league.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Bullpen, I think relievers, but I guess technically this is his staff. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say what jumps out to me is this is a points league. That helps Taillon because he doesn't walk many batters. That hurts Abbott because I just said he does walk batters, and he doesn't go as deep into games. I'm going to have to put a guy like Andrew Abbott and Colin Ray down toward the bottom. So I will say Heaney, I mean, he's hit or miss, but also good chance he's on the move, might be in a different team in a couple of weeks. Don't know if that's good or bad, but he also got the injury risk there. Very hit or miss. I'm going to put Taillon first. Jameson is first, and then I'll put not very exciting, but I might put Quintana second. And then I'll go Thorpe, Heaney, Abbott, Ray.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Uwe 2K. Good to see you back. All right. We got I like turtles. Welcome back. He likes turtles, but do we like Jordan Hicks? Is he dead or is he bound to surge? It's not been, after a nice start to the season, it's been a bit of a rough go. 3 straight games with at least 3 earned runs. Strikeouts have been okay, kind of up and down, honestly, but not going deep into games. So how are we feeling about Jordan Hicks?
Yeah, not dead, but I will say there is some concern. This is exactly what everybody thought might be a concern before the season. Is this guy used to be a closer, just strictly a reliever, and been so many injuries, right? And then all of a sudden, let's turn back to a starter and see if he can go full season. And he was great, but you have to wonder if he's wearing down. You have to wonder if they're going to have to be real careful with him down the stretch. So I don't know. I can say he's bound to surge. I think he started out really strong. Seems like he's tapering off. I dropped him in our league because he wasn't going 6+ innings anymore. He wasn't getting any quality starts. And now his effectiveness is a little bit down. I haven't checked his rolling xWOBA, but it's going up a little bit. I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is a
I think
guy.
he's streamable. I think he's basically a guy you can stream and pick your spots, but I'm not expecting a big second half surge at all.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't been streaming him, even though he's had good matchups, is because, like you said, he just never goes 6 innings. So it's like, okay, you just know you're not getting, like, if you're in a wins league, it's not as bad, right? Because he can go 5 and they can win if it's a good matchup or whatever. But in a quality starts league, you just know he's never going to get you a quality start. It seems like. So it's like, okay, he better like dominate and strike out a ton of hitters. Otherwise, what am I really getting here? What am I really getting?
And he's not
All
even
right,
getting wins either. And looking at this, it's actually crazy. He doesn't have a win since the middle of May, May 19th. He hasn't won any of his past 8 starts. I mean, that's it's not helping you.
Not helping you. All right, Uwe2K also wants to know about these pitchers: Yariel Rodriguez, Andre Palante, Luis Ortiz.
I was very nice, at least surprised by Yariel. I picked him up in 2 leagues to stream yesterday and got me 2 quality starts. It was nice. Yariel was good. So I think I'm hold on to him. My concern with him early in the season was innings, right? How far is he going to go to games? Remember, they put him out there for 3 innings his first time out, and then not very much, and then he got hurt. But this last start, I knew it was risky, but he went 6. He was good. I think it was at Seattle. So I'm gonna hold on to him. Actually, I was gonna drop him, but I didn't. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. Let's take a chance on him this week. Payante's converted relievers, making spot starts. I'm not gonna put too much stock in him. Ortiz was really good today, shockingly, but I'm not gonna risk it on my fantasy team. So I like Rodriguez. The other 2, I'm just kind of ignoring.
All right, and then one more from him: Brooks Lee or Mark Vientos.
Now that's an interesting one because Vientos has been really good. These are guys who will eventually play the same position, sort of, because Lee, I think, will get third base eligibility. Right now, Yahoo's only shortstop. Vientos, I think, qualifies third and first. But again, let's just say forget position. This comes a little bit down more to need. Vientos is more really of a slugger, right? Then Ben Rice isn't really a pure slugger. Vientos is a home run threat, but he's been hitting for average. Brooks Lee will hit for average, and he also has power. This is close. I mean, this is really close. I like them both. I don't know. Let's see. I have a coin. Flip a coin. I like them both. I think right now Vientos is probably a little bit more cemented into playing time and, again, better lineup spot. So I'll say stick with Vientos while he's hot.
All right, there you go. Thank you for that. And back-to-back Nate. Speaking of Royce Lewis, he was dropped. So let's say Royce Lewis dropped in your league. He has no more IL spots, so he would be burning a bench spot on Royce Lewis. He'd have to drop Musgrove or Noelve Marte. Are you dropping either of those guys to get Mr. Glass, Royce Lewis?
Well, supposedly it's not as serious. Okay. I'm not dropping Marte. I think you can drop Musgrove. I mean, there's nothing really that forces you to keep him on your roster. There's nothing really to get excited about here with him. Even if he comes back and looks like vintage Joe Musgrove, I don't think it's happening. I would still rather have the upside of Lewis. So yeah, you can drop Musgrove.
All right, there you go. Go get him. All right, Brandon Norris, can he drop Verlander for Jeffrey Springs?
Verlander is tricky because, again, I already had said this a long time ago. We're not getting Verlander of old. We're getting old Verlander, right? He's still effective. He's still decent this year, even though he's not at his best. So is Springs going to be significantly better than Verlander? I don't think so. I think as long as Verlander is back soon-ish, which supposedly he's not too far off. I mean, I'm not going to say you can't drop Verlander for Springs. I just don't know that it's a big upgrade. I want to see how Springs looks, in other words, before I'm assuming that we're going to get the same Jeffrey Springs we saw before he was injured. It's been a long time since he's pitched. So I wouldn't do that just yet.
All right. Well, are you ready for another Noelve Marte question? Back-to-back Nate now wants to know, would you drop Noelve Marte for Ben Rice?
Man, I mean, this sort of comes down to need. Like, I really don't want to drop Noelve Marte. His upside is huge, right? I know it doesn't feel like that because he's not that much. But he's got power. He's got speed. He can hit for average. He's, somebody who can potentially really help you. I think it'll come. I don't want to drop Noelve. I don't. I would only do this if you really need a catcher, right? If you need somebody like Rice for your starting lineup. But I don't want to drop Noelve Marte.
I think it's funny because I do have Noelve Marte in that first game back when he went 3 for 5. What did he go? 3 for 5, 3 runs, RBI. Everybody was like, league winner. And now everybody's like, done with this guy. Remember, he's only been back for 2 weeks.
Right. That's exactly.
I am a little worried, though, if he's not taking steroids, or is he going to be as good? I will be honest. I'm a little worried about that.
He did hit a home run the other day. It takes time, right? We like to react. First week. I mean, come on. It's hard to remember now because it's been a while. But remember the first week of the season. All right, everyone. This guy's a bust. Forget it. Just drop him. Right. Let's take some time here. I'm gonna hold on to Noelve Marte. Look, Chris, if you drop him, I'm picking him up. We'll put it that way.
I'm not dropping him. I'm not dropping Marte. Too much.
I thought that would work.
All right, Doopy guy. What about this? So we answered this trade question earlier. What about if it's Carroll and McGill just for schemes?
Yeah, I think I might take Skeens. Honestly, I think I would take Skeens at this point. I mean, Carroll has been better, but do you really feel like he's carrying your fantasy team the second half? Do you have that much confidence in him based on what you've seen? I'm losing the faith here. I mean, at some point, we just have to forget last year, right? Just forget it. What has he done throughout now 3 full months of baseball? The first half is going to be over really soon. Give me Skeens. Give me the guy who's dominant. And an ace is hard to come by these days. So I would do it.
All right. There you go. And then let's see. Okay, so we got some Adolis Garcia questions. Adolis Garcia. I like Turtle says he's tired of waiting. UE2K says stuck with him as well. Really thinking about dropping him. How high are we on Brooks Lee? Are we dropping Garcia for Brooks Lee?
Well, the question is how high I'm Lee. I'm high on Lee, but I'm not dropping at least Garcia. He'll be okay. And the Rangers are probably now, we're hearing they're going to be sellers, right? They're going to be a team that moves, but they're going to move some pitchers. Garcia's not going anywhere. He's still going to be on a pretty good offense. They should get better at the very least. Maybe not their pitching once they solve pieces, but their hitting actually should improve if Josh Young ever comes back. Maybe Evan Carter one day comes back. Maybe all their pieces come back. Garcia will be fine. I know it's frustrating, but just be patient. I would say this. It's not crazy. I get it. It's frustrating. But you just don't want to drop a player like that.
All right, what about this? Brandon Willett, would you drop a player like Jared Jones to stash Jeffrey Springs? Jared Jones was awesome most of the year. Now he's on the IL, and they're saying with the return in weeks, not days. So is that enough to make you drop him for Jeffrey Springs?
Sadly, yes, because this is what we were afraid of. We're afraid of this with all rookie pitchers, right? Is either they get cut short because of innings restrictions, or these guys throw so hard that their arms give out or something happens. They're going to be careful with him because the Pirates have absolutely no reason to rush him out there. So, yeah, I think Jared Jones is droppable.
All right. There you go. Thank you for that. All right. Yakir, what is up? All right. He's got room for 2 of these guys. Who are you adding? Brooks Lee, Ben Rice, Cole Keith, Harrison Bader, Trevor Larnach, or Xavier Edwards? Your deep secret league stash.
Yeah.
Which 2 are you adding?
Hey, I'm going to have to start banging the drum louder for Edwards because he's been getting on base. The steals haven't quite come yet, but there's going to be one of these games where he steals like 3 bases in a game. And everyone's going to be like, hey, who's that? It's Lee and Rice. I mean, it's the first 2, and we already talked about them and why. Larnach is okay. He's hot right now, but I'll tell you a guy, if you want a deeper sleeper, they just called up Matt Wallner, who I actually drafted Wallner in a deep league before the season. And then that was, pick I can't get back because he got sent down and he's been in the minors. He's been raking in the minors. He's a guy who got legit power, could get some playing time there with the Twins. So I'm not adding him yet, but I'm definitely going to talk about him this week. Let's keep an eye on him. And that could affect Larnach. So the answer here is definitely Lee and Rice. But if you need speed, keep an eye on Xavier Edwards.
All right, there you go. All right, let's talk about Delonte Tucker here. He's in a world of hurt, literally. Tatis, Michael Harris Jr., Jared Jones, Verlander, Nick Lodolo, and Mike Trout all on IL. So, should you drop one of these guys to stream or just hold out hope?
Okay, well, even though it's not going to be real soon, you got to hold Tatis, of course. You got to hold Harris. I think you can drop Jones. You can drop Verlander. I don't think he's a must hold. Lodolo, honestly, I don't know what the word is on him. I haven't heard much about him lately, so I would have to look. I don't know if obviously he's hurt, but it sounds like he might be coming back soon. So I guess hold Lodolo for now. And then Trout, you're not dropping Trout. I wouldn't mind trading Trout once it gets closer to his return time. You could get a pretty good haul for him, possibly. So Tatis, Harris, hold. Jones, Verlander, expendable. Lodolo and Trout, hold. But again, I think Trout might make good. Bait. Pretty soon.
Update on Lodolo. He threw a bullpen session on Saturday, so working his way back. All right, let's see. Okay, so maybe just we're too far behind. Sorry, Matthew. So Matthew did say when you watch Gore pitch, the guys in the booth just talk about his potential and how high he was drafted, but he lost for innings. Okay, maybe he meant he was like a real life bust. Maybe. I don't know. All right. Bene Black, the artist formerly known as Bene Black, now just Bene. What's up, Bene? Julio Rodriguez. He did finally hit another home run like a couple days ago, and then went back to being Julio. And then now he's hurt with a quad injury. Did not play today. So I guess I'm going to assume he's in a league where you have to set your lineup ahead of time because he's saying bench Julio this week. So if you have Julio Rodriguez in a league where you have to set your lineup ahead of time, are you just not risking it and benching him? Or are you like, nope, I got to keep him in there?
Great question. These are the tough decisions, right? You hate to not know because a lot of times these teams are like, oh, we'll find out on Monday. We'll do the MRI on Monday. Let's wait till Monday. Like, no, tell me now. Tell me on Sunday night. Okay, but that's not how it works. So from what I've read, he's going to get an MRI, but they are saying it doesn't seem like, or he avoided something serious, doesn't seem significant. But that doesn't mean he's not going to sit out for a couple of days. But here's the other point, which you know very well. He hasn't been doing a lot lately. So I'm sitting him because I know he's not playing on Monday or Tuesday. Almost surely will miss a couple of days. What's the worst case scenario? He goes in IL. It could happen. They could find something. They could just say, hey, let's just sit him out till the break. So I'm not risking it. I'll get the guy who's getting me some stats. And it's not like he's been ripping it up lately anyways. Like, what are you missing?
All right. Bench him. Anthony, what's up? Are you starting? How are you not starting? Okay. There's been a lot of things tilting about fantasy sports can be very tilting. A lot of things tilting about sports, fantasy sports. But going up against Shane Baz this week, who gave up 3 runs, I think, like in the 3rd inning, coming off a guy who hasn't pitched in almost 2 years, thinking, okay, this guy's going to get pulled in like the 4th or 5th inning. They're not going to, no, they roll this guy out there, even though he got lit up for an inning for like 100 pitches his first game back. Very tilting, and somehow he doesn't get lit up again. But I mean, is there any reason not to start Shane Baz now after that?
Nope. And this is why he was a must add. I get not starting him his first time out. And it's not that I was that worried about the pitch count. I know some people were saying that they're going to baby him and stuff like that, which might make sense. But it really doesn't make sense when you look at the fact he was throwing full games in the minors. He had been building up to this. He's not a guy who's just coming off the injured list for the first time in however long. He's been pitching. He's just been pitching at AAA. But he's been going deep enough, and the Rays need him. So even if the Rays wind up being sellers, I don't think they're also a team that's really completely throwing in the towel. They're going to be kind of making these strategic moves where it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like let's offload guys. Like they're really going to miss like trading Zach Littell, Zach Eflin, trading Aaron Savale. Is that really giving up? That actually might be improving their team. They just got Shane Baz instead of Aaron Savale. So if anything, it's smart. And they're getting Springs back. So anyways, my point is they're going to keep putting him out there as long as he can go. It was nice to see he pitched 90-plus pitches, like you said. I don't see any reason not to start him. So, yeah, the leagues where I have him, I'm starting him. Although I totally understand if you didn't start him, last week, that I'm usually on the more cautious side, so I get it.
All right, then Anthony saying got the show late. What's up with you, Darvish? So he's placed on the restricted list with a personal matter involving his family, but they won't elaborate. So have you heard anything here? And he's also battling elbow inflammation, which is not good, plus a strained groin. So what's going on here?
A lot going on, but we don't know what's going on. He's been out for a while, so that's the more concerning thing. As far as the personal side, who knows? But yeah, I don't foresee him coming back to the mound until after the break. And then when he comes back, then yeah, you're assuming if he's out there, then he's still Yu Darvish. Look, he's pitched better this year than I expected him to pitch, honestly. He's a smart pitcher. He has a lot of pitches in his repertoire. He doesn't rely on his heat. So I don't know what's up, but I think once he's back, he should be fine. But I also say, by the way, props Anthony saying he picked up Ben Rice. Smart move. And Benny Black also. Glad you got him too. That was good time.
Yes. All right. We're getting a lot of Brooks Lee questions tonight. Solomon Grundy, what's up? Zidane Rafaela or Brooks Lee? Who you taking?
I know you're a Marvel guy. He's my favorite DC villain, Solomon Grundy.
Oh, all right.
Well, with Rafaela, he gets you a little bit more. He's going to get you steals. He's going to get you more speed than Lee. He does have power as well. I think I'd give the edge to Rafaela right now, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is close.
All right. And then I Like Turtles wants to know, Kershaw, two injured pitchers, Kershaw or DeGrom? Which one you prefer?
I'd rather look for a guy who I feel is actually going to pitch more than a couple innings. But if I had to pick, I'm still going DeGrom. I think once DeGrom is back, assuming he does ever come back, I think I'd feel better about him.
All right, Tristan wants to know, how are you still feeling about Joenkincy Noel? Remember, we were streaming live when he got the call and hit his first Major League home run. So he's been up for a bit now. How are you feeling about him?
Well, I feel like he's kind of a fringe roster. Because like I tell you this, in our league, I picked him up. I've started him a couple times, but he's in a platoon. He's not playing every day. And I actually am dropping him now. Not because I'm done with him and I don't think he has value. I'm just looking for something else. So I think he's he's rosterable, but you're going to have to check daily whether he's in the lineup or not. Maybe he goes on a heater. Maybe he, locks down an everyday job. But the Guardians don't really roll like that. So I'm kind of feeling ambivalent about him, I guess.
All right, there we go. All right, Luis Correa, what's up? Wants to know Jose Miranda, Noelve Marte, Mark Vientos at third base while Lewis is out.
Ooh, okay. So let's go with like 3 really tough calls. Right now, it's hard to say with Miranda. He's peaked, right? You can't do better than getting 12 hits in a row. And he's so hot last week. I almost get afraid to pick up a hitter like this once they've been so hot, because I feel like you're getting them like right when it's about to go in the downslide, right? You know what I mean? Like he's been so hot, you know he's going to come down and cool down. So it's like I don't want to pick up this guy right when he starts to cool down. But it's hard not to go with him. I mean, I can't say to pick up Marte over him for right now. And I'll say let's go Miranda. And as soon as he has that first offer, just drop him for Vientos.
All right, there you go. All right, Tony Martinelli. Are we waiting for Kobe Mayo or Jackson Holiday for the rest of the season? I'm assuming without an NA spot.
I wouldn't. I don't think you need to hold out for these guys. Look, if you have an NA spot and you can stash them and it's not affecting your roster, fine. But it's just so frustrating with the Orioles prospects. It's just there's no room for all of them. And they don't seem to be in a hurry to bring Holiday back up. So you're asking me, should you wait? Only if you have that NA spot and it's not, hurting your bench depth.
All right. And then I Like Turtles wants to know, can the knuckleballer Matt Waldron keep it going? Is this for real?
Yeah, it is for real. Like he had that bad start and people, jumped off like, oh, that's it. And then he came back with another quality start. Man, if you're in a quality start league, you just have to roster. I haven't dropped him. I've had him for weeks now. I have no reason not to keep him. Let me see what it is, because I was almost shocked again. I looked, like I know he's been solid, but he's got a quality start in, aside from that one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of his last 8 starts, a quality start. That means he's gone at least 6 innings, and he's been good enough to not get pulled. I mean, there's no reason not to hold on to Waldron, even if it's not a quality starts league.
All right. Yeah, definitely got to hold on to him. All right, James Hobbs. Another Jared Jones question. In a categories league, would you drop him for Luis Gill or Jack Flaherty?
I'm going to pick up Flaherty. Flaherty, of course, the back issue, you never know. But he's been so good this year. I think I would take a chance. Gill, man, let's see what happens his next start. But I would definitely pick up Flaherty.
Tonight.
Tonight.
We'll know tonight. If he doesn't bounce back tonight, then it's like probably full-fledged panic time. Anthony dropped a super chat just to say thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you. Always being here whenever you can. Where are we at here, man? We are way behind. We might have to start lightning round in this. All right, I Like Turtles, Pavetta, Waldron, Bradley, Gavin Williams. Oh, Gavin Williams. Which 2 are you keeping?
I just talked up Waldron. I can't back down now because I think he's the one who asked about him. I'm going to keep Waldron. I think Bradley has been pitching so well. You got to go Bradley. Pavetta will have his ups and downs. Yeah, it's Waldron and Bradley.
All right, Joseph Ricchetti saying, rest of the season, who you like, Nathan Eovaldi or Jake Irvin? Eovaldi, I think. But anyways.
I'll go Irvin. I mean, Eovaldi is another guy. He's kind of Pavetta-ish. He'll be great or he'll let you down. Just not much in between. He might be moved too. Who knows? But I'll just go Irvin.
All right. James Coffey, what's up? Wants to know in a categories league, who do you prefer rest of the season? Ozzy Albies or Marcus Semien?
Ooh, all right. Well, Both guys that have been on the panic video because they have both been letting you down this year. I think a categories league. I talked about this with Simeon. His average should come up a little bit. As far as batting average, they're comparable. As far as power, I think it's pretty comparable. Albies should get you more steals going forward. And I feel like the Rangers offense is going to get a little bit better, but man, unless the Braves, they've got to get better, right? They've got to get better. I'm going to go Albies.
All right. Wilson has a couple. First of all, is a new buy low, sell high video coming out. Yes, every Wednesday the buy low comes out, I believe, every Wednesday. Then he wants to know, do we pick up Tyler Anderson? He's an all-star, has an insane WAR, but his Savant page is not very good.
Yeah, this is where you have to separate, real life from fantasy value. In real life, yeah, he's been really good. Now, also, the whole all-star thing, you almost just have to completely ignore because, remember, every team has to have an all-star, right? You can't have all the best fantasy players on there. So, but that said, he's worth owning because his ratios are really good. He just doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. I mean, he's your typical... He's like a slight step above a streamer, right? Because he's more consistent here. Better in a quality starts than a wins league, but yeah, he's been good. Now, with the Savant page being awful, is there regression coming? It could, but he's been around long enough, and he's one of these kind of like crafty lefties that kind of knows how to work around situations, and he outperforms his expected stats. So I'm not too worried about him suddenly getting crushed in a start. So yeah, I think Anderson is definitely worth rostering. He's probably like 80% owned in fantasy. So if he's out there, I'd be kind of surprised.
All right, Brandon Norris wants to know Miguel Rojas or Nolan Gorman off of waivers until Mookie Betts is back.
I'll go with the upside of Gorman. Look, this is an offensive game. If your league counts defensive stats, then go with Rojas, but it doesn't because nobody does. So go with Gorman and get that power.
All right, Tristram with the Corbin Carroll question. He's got a lot of him, but how long are we waiting? How long are we waiting for Corbin Carroll here?
This depends on your standing right in your league. If you're in the middle of the pack or maybe at risk of not being a playoff team, I think you got to just move on and do something. I mean, he could be a buy low if you're willing to take a shot on him because you already have depth. If you're dealing from a surplus of outfielders, if you're selling high on somebody. But yeah, if you need some improved production to really get your offense going, I'm not going to wait too much longer. Now, I don't want to just drop him. I'd rather try to trade him for something. I don't usually advocate selling low. In this case, you're selling kind of low, but not really, because I don't know. I'm not waiting too much longer before I'm just saying, like, this is it. This is what we're getting.
All right. And then I'm trying to be a little selective on the questions here because we are over an hour now. All right, let's help out Knucklehead Paul. We haven't answered one of his questions. What's up, Knucklehead Paul? Any first basemen with upside that are on your radar that are currently on waivers?
Well, I don't know if you're here early on. The obvious one, I'm going to talk about Ben Rice again. Ben Rice, first baseman, who also qualifies as catcher. That's pretty nice. So as far as who's available in your league, who potentially might be out there, let's see. I did talk about Nate Lowe on the waiver wire video, but again, that's iffy whether he's actually available on your league. He's about 2/3 owned. Talked about Mark Vientos already a bunch. He's someone who's out there. Jose Miranda, of course, the hottest hitter in baseball right now. He qualifies at first and third. If you're getting deeper, because those guys aren't out there, I think Andrew Vaughn is still worth picking up, even though he's not as crazy hot as he was. He's still hitting, but also there's some possibility that he gets moved. I mean, the White Sox are obvious sellers, but he might go to a team like the Astros. That's a huge boost for his fantasy value. So don't sleep on Vaughn. Of course, Rice would be the first choice there. And if you got to get deeper than that, No, I wouldn't completely give up on John Concee Noel. He has power. I did talk about Lamont Wade as a deeper option. He doesn't play every day because he almost always sits against lefties, but he could still help you.
All right. And then we're getting some Garrett Crochet questions. So F wants to know, is he now paper mache? And Wilson says, do we trust Crochet or should people sell high? He was offered Crochet in return for Duran. Wondering if Crochet can be trusted. Now, it wasn't a bad outing for Crochet today. Only two earned runs. But he only went 4 innings. But it's the first time since, I think, like April that he didn't go more than 4 innings. So is this it? Is it? We're done? We're done with Crochet now?
If you're done with him, I'll take him. I have no reason to be worried about Crochet. I mean, this is one of those guys, like I keep saying, where there's people like looking for a reason to doubt him. Like he has one decent, like not great start. We're like, oh, that's it. He's been amazing all season long. And he's also going to get a boost because he's almost definitely going to be traded. Almost guaranteed. And he is very possibly going to be a Dodger. When the Crochet goes to the Dodgers, everyone's going to go nuts and realize, oh my God, where's this guy coming from? He's been here all year. Just you didn't know it because he was on the White Sox. But nah, if people are selling on Crochet, I am buying low, I guess. In fact, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's put him on the buy low video again.
Yeah, put him on there again. And speaking of that, Joseph Arquetti wants to know buy low hitters. Joseph, the video dropped Wednesday. I think you had like 6 hitters on there. So if you want to go check that out, buy low dropped on Wednesday. He had like 6 hitters on there. We are running out of time. And there will be another buy low that will drop this Wednesday. And he always talks about like 5+ hitters, 4 or 5 pitchers. Right. So plenty of players on there for the buy low. So Joseph, go check it out. Everybody else, if you haven't watched it, go check it out as well. Maybe you'll find some players on there. I think Crochet was Crochet on there. I don't remember, but maybe. He definitely was not a sell high. I'll tell you that. All right. Okay, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget, if you haven't tried Underdog, still time. Not tonight. There's not time tonight because the game has already started, but you can get on Underdog Fantasy. Just make sure when you do, you use promo code ENDGAME. That's going to give you a special pick plus up to $250 in bonus cash. And if you want to come draft an Underdog Fantasy football team with us right now on the football channel, we are headed over there in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. So head on over there. We're going to do it. And don't forget, we will be back here Wednesday night going live again to answer all your baseball questions. We got Panic coming out tomorrow. Beat the Breakout Tuesday. I mean, Pierre has hit on some major breakouts already this year on that video. So you definitely want to check it out. And of course, buy low on Wednesday. And then we can come in here and answer all your questions about the buy lows on there if you have any. So don't forget to be back here on Wednesday, guys. Appreciate you as always. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you on Wednesday.